My girlfriend cheated on me, and my family took her side. Years after disowning me, they want to reconnect. My ex-girlfriend cheated on me, and after I found out and confronted her about it, she got scared and told nearly everybody we knew that I had struggled to cover up her cheating. I was placed in custody during the investigation. However, I was released as there was no evidence. My parents had already disowned me, and most of my friends had distanced themselves from me. I wasn't even proven innocent by a jury, so my parents still believed me to be a struggle snuggle who had gotten lucky. My best friend began to help me behind their backs, and I ran away. I had nothing to lose as nobody liked or even approached me, and my college barred me from attending lessons, only emailing me the work and bringing me in for exams. I went as far away from that town as I could and got an apartment. After working in some community jobs for some money, I managed to sort of stabilize myself. I decided to change my name after a while because I came to hate looking at it for some reason. This helped me start a new slate, and I made a few new friends when I went into university again. I don't know why I did this. I'm still in truckloads of debt and was incredibly poor looking back. I finished my degree in teaching and moved far away to a country on the opposite side of the globe where I now live. I got a nice apartment and settled down in my new job. Eventually, I met a girl who turned out to become my now wife. Initially, I couldn't trust her. I would flinch if she tried to touch me, or I'd start fidgeting when she got close. However, after realizing how much patience she had with me, I fell head over heels for her. She eventually gave birth to my twin daughter and son, whom I adore and will defend to the edge of the universe. Her family got used to me very quickly, considering I was a foreigner and not very trusted. They treated me well, and I sort of remembered how a loving family actually is. Now I'm living in a nice house with both of my children and wife, and we're very happy. That is until last night when I was playing on our PlayStation with my son while my wife and daughter were in the garden. There was a knock on the door, and lo and behold, my father was there. He smiled weakly and began to speak, but I slammed the door so hard I scared my son. I took him to his room and called for my wife to take my daughter to her bed. She was freaking out, and so was I. My father kept knocking on the door, and I just broke down at that moment. My wife comforted me and then answered the door for me. She asked who he was, and he said he was my father. I had given my wife a vague background of me, and she had nothing but sorrow for me. She looked understandably pissed and began to scream at my father for abandoning me and whatnot. After she calmed down, I told her to let him in and instructed her to go to our kids' bedroom to keep them busy while I talked to my dad. He explained that he was doing my ex-girlfriend a favor by clearing some stuff on her phone. While he was managing her messages, he stumbled upon a conversation between her and the guy she cheated on me with, expressing guilt for ruining my life and a desire to take it all back. My father didn't confront her as he wasn't ready to revive a dead situation, but silently began to search for me to share his belief in my innocence. I don't even know how he found me, but I don't care because he's here now. For the part I need help with, I don't know what to do. I've considered my options after wandering through random streets, and I've come to some conclusions, but I'm not sure what the best decision is. I could turn him away, telling him to go back to our country, leaving me alone, or I could reconcile with him and meet my mother again for the first time in forever. Update 1. I visited my father in his hotel and informed him that I wouldn't reconcile with him or anything like that. He had tears in his eyes but was understanding. He mentioned that he had told my mother about her and cut my ex-girlfriend off from the family entirely. I asked him why there was still contact, as many of you questioned, and he explained that she apparently felt too guilty to really let us go. I'm not too inclined to believe it, as were many of you, but it's closure enough for me. Apparently, my mother didn't take the news too well and tried to get my phone number, but my father didn't let in. Not sure what I could really trust, given that I feel most of it is just a ploy to get me back into their lives. But after they threw me out onto the streets like a rabid dog, it just makes me sick. My son did end up asking who was at the door, but I told him that it was a colleague. I plan to tell both of them what happened to me in my past when they're older or going through tough times, to let them know that I understand we're all fine. It shook me up a bit, but I hope I have my father's word on him keeping my new life a secret. Update 2. I recently had an incident with my family involving them breaking a promise. It angered me incredibly, and after a lot of thought, I decided I would face them directly. I flew back to my home country and met with everybody involved, my mom, dad, brother, and even the girl who accused me. I was nervous, of course, but I was shocked when I realized I didn't really see them as family. I recognized them, of course, but I didn't see them the way I see my wife, kids, and in-laws. My mother started by breaking into tears and trying to apologize. I just felt disgusted by it. My father comforted my mother, and my brother was the one who kept his composure and initiated the conversation. He asked me how I was doing, and I responded by telling him to cut any small talk and that this meeting was on my terms. I told all of them that I was not looking for reconciliation and I simply wanted closure. I made sure to tell them that I would call the police should they attempt to chase me. I asked my parents why they were so quick to abandon me even though the police said there was no proof. They explained that they made a rash decision and seeing me in custody broke their hearts. I called them out on it since they didn't try to stick up for me or anything. Then I asked my brother why he never contacted me. He looked surprised and said that he did, but I just ignored him all that time. Turns out he was right. My brother had tried hundreds of times to contact me and give me money to get me off rock bottom. However, he questioned why I never answered and assumed that I hated him because of what happened. Well, as it turns out, my mother had my contacts blocked on all of her phone plans as she paid for my brother's old phone plan, so I couldn't even receive help when I was completely lost. Then the cherry on top, my ex. I first asked her why she actually did it. She said that she was scared of what would happen and that she never stopped loving me even throughout it all. She claimed that every session of therapy made her feel even more guilty as she knew it was all fake. She then told me that she hadn't dated anyone since in hopes that I would come back and she could apologize because an apology would apparently reverse time and fix it all. Even that turned out to be a bunch of lies because my father said that he found chat logs of 3 different partners she had when I was away. My ex broke down crying and tried to hold my hand. She had the freaking audacity to ask for another chance. This just made me spiteful, and I pulled out my phone and began showing all of them hundreds of pictures of my 2 children's milestones and the good times my family had together. Our visits to cities, their first day of school, both of them, and my wife in my arms. I told her that this was what she could have had if she wasn't so stupid and my parents what they missed out on for not even hearing me out. I had a moment when I thought I had gone too far, but I realized that compared to what they did to me, I hadn't. My visit wasn't all miserable though as I met up with my old best friend and his family. They were happy to see me, and I was still grateful for them taking me in when it felt like the whole world was against me. I plan to return to the country one day to show my kids where half of their culture comes from. I won't let them anywhere near my family though. As far as I'm concerned, my only family is my wife and her family and my kids. I'd say it went pretty well.